nikwazi ukuba niphuhliswe ngendlela eza kwenza into yoba xa sibuyela apha emva kweminyaka ethile sidibane nani senisithi hayi mani okay uba sisekhona mos noba kuze bani right nayazi reshuffle so noba ngubani ofika nithi hayi mani mphathiswa sicela uniphekela mahala sicela sikhe singatshaji ngoku because urhulumente has assisted us singomashishini abakhulayo. We are looking forward to that. That's what we do with the big businesses. To say sicela nisiphe siyofaka pha nani ke the reason the ANC government has taken a conscious decision ukuthi at the center of the work that we do kunyanzelekile sibuyele emva tracing ukuba ngaba zintoni esizenzileyo kakuhle zintoni esingazenzanga kakuhle senza kanjani ke ngoku ukutshintsha. What is it that we have done right? What is it that we have not done right? So that we change how we do things. Ithi ke i-national development anindiva oh ngoku benithethe Afrikaans benisithi ndiyayiva mna kaloku ufuneka silungiselelane ngondenzela u-accommodator wonke umuntu so wonke umuntu olapha uyayiva i-English wonke olapha oh hayi ke ndizohamba nani ngomca ndiyabulela ndive kumane kuthethwa isiXhosa ngabanye ndacinga manje. Thank you Budwam for raising that. Indeed I would have left here and none of you or some of you would not have had the message. So I'm saying as the ANC government we took a conscious decision to check what is it that we have done right and that we have not done right. As we did that we went back to our founding documents. Whether you look at the Freedom Charter that clearly states what ought to happen in South Africa. Now getting into government, the documents and the policies that we produced and the final document, which is a recent one, the National Development Plan, that gets to be translated at a local level as the Integrated Development Plan, which is an annual, is a 5-year plan that the municipality develops. This is meant to say we all agree that our people are still poor. We all agree that our economy has not grown to an extent that we want it to grow. We all agree that we're still excluding certain people in the economy. We all agree that we have no choice but work towards efforts that must help us create more jobs. And now for us to do that, it means we have to go back, as I said, we look at the National Development Plan that is very clear on saying by 2030, South Africa must create 11 million jobs. Out of the 11 million jobs, the National Development Plan says 9 million of those must come from small businesses. 9 million, 85% bisamu yazas. Lava baga hands up, I'm sure they know. 85% of the jobs that have to be created have to come from small businesses, which therefore forces both the government, the private sector, big business or small, and the people of South Africa to say, let us invest in small businesses. Because without investing in small businesses, it means that we're not going to be able to create the 9 million jobs. That is why today, as things stand, the statistics reflect that we have 13 million South Africans that are not employed. It's 2022. And NDP says in 2030, 11 million, which means the NDP never envisaged this crisis that we are in 2022. Now, if we don't change how we do things, it tells you that we will arrive in 2030 with 15 or 20 million people unemployed. That is why you saw the ANC government in its own manifesto leading to 29 elections committing on ensuring that we centralize development around the district development model, which moves the resources from national to province and put them at a district level where people stay. I do not have people at national. Your Premier, Dr. Sol, doesn't have people. The people that have people are the mayors here. Now, if in our planning, we are not taking that into consideration, I'm certain about one thing, that if I come here and do the little that I can do without looking at what the provincial government is doing, without looking what other sister departments at national are doing, including without looking at what are the local economic development strategies of the municipalities are, we're gonna remain where we are if we're not looking at that. That is why we said it's high time that we focus, we align the planning so that we can channel resources together. As I listened here, others say we want 40,000 rand for a plot, we have equipment, we do not have access to market, we need equipment, and all of this they're touching on the three spheres of government. That's why we're saying when we go back to basics of saying one South Africa, one province, one district, one plan, then we'll be able to change how things are. That is why you saw, again, the governing party, when it started the process of nominating the mayors and the speakers, the people that are going to lead the municipality, it emphasized on the need for people who understand the local economic development. Because that's where we've been weak. That we have companies, whether we have mining houses in the area, or like people are saying we were great in rail. There were train stations that were moving, connecting people. Hence, you are the vein. I guess you were the pulse of Northern Cape and South Africa, taking others from here to that side. And these people that are talking about this, they are talking because then there was an economic activity. Now, as a municipality, a district, and a province that has lost that because of whatever that led to it, how do we then make sure that we can therefore have other economic activities that must take DR to a place where it's recognized in the province, in the country, and in the world? And all we have to do is to say, in the little resources that we have, we come together and agree we can't all be caterers, right? We can't all sell scope. We can't all be tenderpreneurs that are waiting for a road construction. How many roads are built? A year? We find out that 2 or 3 years. And how many people that are tendering for that? We've got to look into the actual business. What we term as entrepreneurship, people who are able to think, come up with an idea, and out of that idea, a product is born. Right? Ayo matenga tengisa. Omatenga tengisa, they find the resellers, it's okay as a stopgap measure, but what happens when your supplier closes shop? You're out of business. That is why we are saying we want to urge all of you to encourage you to be entrepreneurs. Encouraging you being entrepreneurs means you've got to understand that as a company or individual, you can do so much and others can come and help you. You can't do it all. You can't do it all. Unless you're advanced. Once you're a big business, then you can come and say, I want to put this money, I'm investing in spices, I'm investing in oil, I'm investing in handy, just like the big businesses are doing. And we hear Premier all the time, people saying, hey, white monopoly capital, we don't want them. And they go to the shop and buy the same products, and they come and complain. That requires us to say, how do we spend the little money that we have amongst ourselves? But at the center of that is this that has helped create a job for us in the small business development portfolio. The development part of the small businesses. Many people continue to say, we are a department of small businesses and we make it our responsibility to correct them. No. We are a department of small business development. Which is why when you stand up and say, I'm a farmer, I want to be assisted with A, B, C, D, we also look at the business side of what you are doing. Because you may be good in farming, but the commercialization component of it, you may not be good in it. Which is why we say there's a need for us to enhance our efforts towards business development support. So that no one says, from a butcher, from a whatever shop, says we can't buy their meat. Because the grading or whatever English they use there does not talk to the standard that we have. How do we make sure that we really live what we say? You don't have to be big to be the best. That the service that you render ought to be of quality, so that when we encourage people to buy local, they don't undermine the product and think the one that must be better must come from Gauteng, come from the other countries outside South Africa. And this requires a strong business development support, which is why we said we can't just then think that this work is about us as the portfolio. This is the work that we need to coordinate across all sectors, because when someone stands up and say, I'm in the ICT space, this is what we are doing, does it mean where we are supposed to provide business development support, do we understand the digital economy, so that when you come for assistance, we're able to guide you properly to say these are the opportunities, and therefore this business plan will not take you anywhere. Ours is not to reject your business plan. Siyeva? Angumsebenzi wethu ukukujikisa xa ucele imali. Umsebenzi wethu kukukhupha imali iye kosomashishini abasakhasayo okoporotyeni kunosomashishini abaphakathi. Ekwenzeni lonto siqinisekisa into ba ulungele umcimbi. Our responsibility is to ensure that we dish out money to small businesses. As part of that, to ensure that you are able to pay back the money, we've got to tighten on our business development support. They go together, right? So we shouldn't sit and be happy or comfortable at CIFA when somebody's applied, just like I listened to the former councillor who spoke here in relation to manufacturing of IBR and the other stuff, to say we got part of the funding, we could not finish, we need the slack. And if you had a business developer that understands the ecosystem in that space, one would have been able to say, this is how much you're gonna need in reality, because this is the cost towards this is the cost towards that, but so far, this is how far we can go as CIFA and CIDA. Therefore, we can therefore refer you to IDC and any other DFI that we work with, so that they come on board and therefore assist and get you the amount that you need. The collaboration is what is required. Because indeed, each and every DFI or department will have a set budget and the limits. But if we work together to say, municipality, you have land. We do understand that you have to generate revenue, but if you can set aside some land wherein we're going to allow our small businesses to come and trade, we come in and support in terms of infrastructure support, business development, provision of equipment, and giving them money where they need. But you do not charge them the rates that you charge them, because these are small businesses and we want them to grow. We also go to Treasury to say, Treasury and SARS, we understand that you have a responsibility in terms of collecting towards revenue, but you also need to have an appreciation that the more you tax the small businesses, the more you get to kill them. And this is not what we're waking up and say it's nice to have. It is what is happening on the ground. When we talk about the red tapes, the taxes, Premier, are coming highly. The ETIs, the employment tax incentives, whether you go to the issue of the wage subsidy, whether you go to the issue of them paying the rezoning costs that are ridiculous, whether you go to the issue of the rates that are being paid in terms of the electricity and water. Bazophila njani? How are they going to survive if their business relies on water and they must pay all these monies that they pay? So all we are saying, we shouldn't be a government or a society that contradicts itself. We have said jobs are going to be created through small businesses. And therefore, talking investment in small businesses also talks to incentives, just like we do with big businesses. All big businesses, when they come to open their businesses, they get incentives. And therefore, it's high time that we address that we failed to address, incentivize the small businesses so that they can create as many jobs as possible, just like Uputebe Funi 35,000 in order for him to employ 5 people. Can you then imagine how many jobs we can create if we are really investing in small businesses and creating an enabling environment by ensuring that we look at these things that are really a challenge to small businesses? In response to this, President Ramaphosa appointed Mr. Nkosi, who's a red tape czar in his office, who is meant to ensure that he can bring all of us as the critical stakeholders and contributors towards the red tape that we talk about. Whether you complain about rezoning, bylaw, this and that, it means Mr. Nkosi is going to be bringing the municipality, ourselves, the different departments. Farmers at times, they complain that they have land, and you find out that in this farm there's a lake, but they do not have water rights. There's a lake, they can't use it because they are breaking the law. So how do we balance that? Or when they eventually apply, government takes too long to respond, just like we take too long to respond in your financial requests and the equipment that you have asked from us. We therefore agreed that we have to work closer to that office and as a coordinating department be able to bring all these issues to the attention of Mr. Nkosi to say there's a need for this act, for example, the National Small Business Act, which most municipalities use to exclude especially informal traders in trading in towns. So we are saying let's do away with these legislations. The laws that we pass should be laws that must look at us and how we're going to do that we have committed to the people of South Africa, bettering their lives. Ite tukuti ke, you don't stay away from an IDP meeting. You don't stay away from other meetings that a municipality calls. You don't stay away from inputting on the policies that we gazette just because you're an entrepreneur. Because failure to participate there, uzopaswa imithetho on your behalf. Mawufika nemadlanyana yakho that you have, but suka, umthetho wapaswa umelanga uthengisa apha. But if we make sure that every bylaw ekhoyo, we look at it, how does it affect us as small businesses? A policy, whether it's a policy by Home Affairs, as we listen to people who are complaining that we are seeing lots of foreign nationals that are doing business in our country. Who gave them licenses? You ought to be asking yourself that. On top of that, whose buildings are they using? President Ramaphosa called for the enforcement of the social compact, wherein we all take responsibility in saying, we've seen how things have gone. Now we want to make sure that we put South Africa and its citizens first in their rightful place. Therefore, as government, this is what we are going to do. And therefore, the big business and small businesses, this is what they must commit to do. Labor has to come on board and say, what is that we're going to do? And the people of South Africa. Because if you keep on complaining and thinking that government will come and dictate what happens in your yard, which law enforces that? That we must come and tell you who must pay rent in your yard? We can't. You're going to crowd file that government again is trying to invade your space. But it means you have a responsibility to make sure that if Stella comes to your building or your yard asking that I want to open a hair salon, please lease this space to me, you have to ask for a permit. Do you have the permit? But if you don't understand again who's supposed to have the permit, you will just get things that are fraudulent and then they give to you. Which is why it's important that you must link up with the police and the municipality to check if indeed Stella is responsible towards the laws of the country. That you have to do for you, for your children, and for your country. No government is going to come and do that for you. Because government does not give anyone space to rent. Government is not the one that says you go and marry so that you can sell identity to other people because somebody's going to pay you 50,000 and you divorce after a year. You are giving somebody nationality. The next thing you come and complain in our hospitals, in the my friend. You enabled them, those that are trading illegally. The focus is on ensuring that we are all compliant so that we all compete fairly. If I have to pay SARS as they want the tax clearance certificate, if I have to pay what's that certificate for labor, from labor? Occupational whatever that they want from other people, if you have to pay for any of the monies that we say you must pay, as Usisi spoke here, saying it's too expensive to comply. And after all of that, you still do not have an opportunity to trade. And then they close your bank account, and then your tax clearance has lapsed, and all the English that is there. But at the center of it, there are those that do not even undergo the process. Abatatama shortcut, short left, wabo? Bangen. So how do we make sure that as you want to come and operate in a particular area, you are also compliant? We therefore said we are engaging with all these stakeholders that make it impossible for small businesses to be compliant, to say, let us have some exemptions. And this is work in progress. To say, is it possible that if a small business of this size, because even small businesses vary in size, right? If a small business of this size is not able or has not received any opportunity in terms of trading, let's make sure that at least the tax clearance can go beyond the 12 months and an end. Because where are they going to get the 100 rands from? That they must go. Now it's worse here, you have to travel to Kimberley to get that. So it's not just 100 rands, it's also the transport money. So we are engaging to say we really want to reduce that red tape by bringing all those enablers to yourselves and closer to you. We're not going to be able to open offices everywhere, because that means the money that we're supposed to spend on small businesses will be spending on human resource and buildings that we must rent. We want to do what we have seen that you are mastering. You know, when COVID hit Sodolopo, when President Ramaphosa announced the 350, Minister Zulu came up with a way of saying, we're not going to have access to SASSA and because people were asked to sit at home, and therefore they launched a digital application wherein people were applying from their cell phone. Those that got the 350, you know that, right? You used your cell phone. We even went to an extent when we were doing the monitoring, they will tell you, no, I was approved. I can show you, I saw it on my phone. I was like, yeah, hey, they are so advanced. They even know that they apply, and what is it that happens when you are approved? But that tells you the levels of advancement by the society that we lead. Now we said we're gonna use that technological advancement to bring services closer to you. Ngoba wonke umuntu uneselula, right? Everyone has a cell phone. Yes, people email. So all we have to do is to make sure that in the platform that we develop as the department, it must have Home Affairs, it must have Labor, it must have National Treasury, the municipality, SARS, and all the other departments that are critical towards compliance. So that if you have to download your tax certificate, you click on your phone just like when you send a WhatsApp message to gossip about the ad. You make it easy like that. You gossip in a nice way. You just change your lifestyle because this gossip is going to bring you money, right? Then you're able to teach others to say, you know, this is what you do. You know, most people did not know how to upload airtime. They were taught by other people. This is the time that we want you to do that. And as the chair of the UNYDA did make reference to the fact that this data is expensive. We are appreciative of that, and therefore, as they say, they also have a zero-rated platform. Even the platform for the small businesses is going to be zero-rated. This we are doing because we don't want you to say, hey, the municipality has taken longer to pay me, I couldn't load data, so I missed out on information. Whilst we are dealing with a government that does not comply with 30 days. I'm going to come to that. Back to the platform. Now in this platform, it means all you have to do is to charge your cell phone. Oh, Ngosi, I'm the load shedding. Hopefully, we will find entrepreneurs that will also see the need, because there's lots of people that must tap into the other alternative energy spaces here. Whether you talk about the hydrogen, about solar panel and everything, this is an opportunity for entrepreneurs. Instead of bringing people from Gauteng to come and do these things here, let the people of DR do it. But if there's no willingness from the entrepreneurs that said, DR, there is nothing we can do. Yes, like saying it, you can't take a horse, or you can take a horse to the river, but you can't force it to drink. Ours is to make sure that we engage with ESCOM and any other person who's involved in the energy space to say we want a share of the SMMEs. We're still for now accepting the 30%. But we know that the 30% is not going to be enough if the small businesses must create 11 million jobs, right? 9 million jobs. So, but for now, we are saying at least the 30%. If the MSc of Finance here says we have a budget of 30 billion as Northern Cape, ours is to say 30% of the 30 billion must go to small businesses. And therefore, which sectors are those? And therefore, you look at the plans, because one of the challenges that we have found, Mayor, is the fact that imali are concentrated to the developed provinces and cities. Those ones that are in the outskirts, they get a tiny drop. As much as we want to say, this is an outcome of the special planning that we inherited, but now we are here, we're supposed to change. I get it, we still have people who plan in the municipality. We have LED people. They need to take that into consideration, because nobody will fund you if your idea does not solve the challenge. The basic thing that we ought to do is to look at the challenge and therefore respond with a solution, and everybody would want to come and fund us. If you look at the Department of Basic Education, you've checked the judgments by the court in relation to the toilets, the infrastructure, and everything. I'm making an example with basic education. That gives an opportunity to entrepreneurs to say, as we have brick makers, bricklayers, plumbers, and all of those, how do we join hands and work together and knock on the doors of CEDA to say, we have seen that here in DR, we have 30 schools that still do not have toilets, and therefore the department is not compliant to the court judgment. We see this as an opportunity. Help us so that we can go and present the story to the Department of Education, which you can do through also the Department of, through the LED, to say there's a problem, government is not responding to court, and therefore we don't want our government to be punished by the courts. So we are solving the problem, and in solving that problem, you are getting money. And of course, we are aware that you may think like that at times and come together and bring and build these companies, but you may not have money. Which is why we said, as a department, we have to focus critically on two things: that of providing support, helping small businesses to do business in a business way. Right? I don't want to come to a meeting of businesses, whether they're small or big, and then it's like I'm in an IDP forum with communities who say everything. We're talking business, and that affect us as business, and therefore how we carry out ourselves, because here there may be a person who wants to procure your services, representing our companies in each and every platform. If I sit there by the caravan and cook food for a particular grouping, when you come to this meeting, you ought to be, the way you present yourself, others must therefore wish that you are the one that has the caravan there, and therefore come and offer you, because of your articulation and behavior on how you market your company. Therefore, we agree all the stringent, unnecessary processes must be abandoned. I think it was the former councillor again who spoke to the issue of the credit health, when they say, hey, because you're on credit bureau, we can't give you money. You know, so to Blanda yam kuthiwa uzenza bhetele okwekati etshiswe licala. Okay, I'm going to translate literally to English. I don't know if it's going to give you the same meaning. There's a saying where I come from, when you think you're smart and all of that, and then they like, you, the way you carry yourself so highly, you behave like a cat that has a side that is bent. I've never seen it, but this is what they say. This means that you forget where you come from, that as much as you may come from a family that was well off, being able to pay for your fees, but your neighbor couldn't pay for their children's fees. You coming from the same community that as you drive to work, if you are privileged enough, or as you get into a bus, they are sitting outside. They don't have anywhere to go. They go to Shibins with their degrees, diplomas, and the qualifications that they have. Now, when government calls for those to tap into the entrepreneurship opportunity, you are saying, "How we can't take you on credit, Bur." These are people who went to school. They had money that was loaned to study. After studying, they did not get a job. You know, automatically NSFAS is gonna put you on credit bureau. Others, because they needed to survive, they made sure they must look nice, because all the great things that were happening at school, they opened the Truworths account and therefore are blacklisted. And when they have a great idea that you ought to invest in as government, you say, you are on credit bureau, we can't invest in you. There's something wrong with that thinking. So we said ours is to enhance the capacity towards business development in the pre-investment support. Before we give you our money, having received your proposal, how do we make sure that we assist you properly, that when we give you this money, you're going to be able to do this that you said you want the money for? And after giving you money, how are we going to help you to make sure that you spend accordingly, assist you to find market so that the business can be sustainable and you also pay back our money? So if we do not do the post-investment support, it will tell that businesses are going to crumble and government doesn't have money. I'm just talking about government now, whilst there's private sector money also that comes to small businesses. That is why we are saying, if we are to give out money to small businesses, we've got to make sure that we work with you to be compliant, because this is government money. Otherwise, they're gonna think I gave it to my niece or my daughter, because there won't be any evidence that indeed there's an existing business. Because the only way they have to check is to make sure that you are registered, you are operational, and all of those things. But we are saying that is too expensive. As much as we want you to comply, but let us reduce the cost so that it becomes cheaper to do business as a small business, and government gives you money so that you can pay back where it's a loan. As government, we offer two sets of funds: the grant portion, especially the NYDA for the under 35s. We offer the blended financing in terms of the grant and the loan. We are giving you the blended financing because we understand that we don't want you to be indebted the minute you're starting a business, because in the first 3 months the business may not do well. And on the other side, we'll be saying, pay back our interest, pay back, and you will not survive. And this is what has led to small businesses not being successful. So we are saying, when we give you the money, therefore let's make sure that there's a payment holiday wherein for a particular number of months, you don't pay government back the interest, but you focus on the business, which is why we must work with you. Yeah, we're not giving you our money if you don't agree to that. We work with you, then by the time you're ready, you can run, but you give us our money back. So this is meant to help the small businesses that want to expand their opportunities, whilst also for those that want to start businesses. On the startups, we don't ask for lots of things, Shem, because it's just an idea, therefore you need to build on it, but we want you to start doing something just like Ubutilowa Betetapa. Whilst we have those that are formalized in business, we have those that are in cooperatives. Many people are undermining the cooperatives because of the traditional way they have operated in Sodolo. One thing, especially the black community, small business, one thing about us, we don't like working together. When we work together, we want to be parasites, that the other can work, I'm gonna get the same share. And cooperatives shouldn't operate like that. This is why, as SMMEs, you kept on missing on opportunities of supplying basic thing, milk, that everybody buys yogurt. Wonke umuntu unomntana osekrishi okanye umzukulwana. They love it, Danan. Yeah, nalapha kuthiwa Danan, right? Yogurt. Okay. Okay, mina ngisuka e-Eastern Cape badla Danan. So I've seen that Danan yogurt. Every child, every household, when they go to access the 350 rands, they do buy that small 6 yogurt. And that's that milk that goes into that, and fruit. But because of the squabbles that we have, even those that are in cattle farming, they have not gotten the opportunity to supply Danan and many others in the dairy industry. To say, if you need 5,000 liters, my cow here can produce 10 liters a day. His cow can produce 20. Their cows can produce 50. Therefore, we can come together and be a commercial cooperative that can supply. And you know that daily, even if you are sitting at home, when you see people carrying their yogurt, I'm benefiting from that. We are so happy with spending the little that we have on things that do not help us grow the economy in terms of where we are at. So we want to encourage you to try to learn to work together, so that even if a tender as the logistics hub is coming, whether it's in 10 years or 5 years, when it comes there and they issue the tender, you can say, I don't have accounting skills, but there is a neighbor or a child's neighbor who's an accountant and unemployed. I can partner with him or her. I'm not an engineer, but there's an engineer that is sitting there that cannot get his or her certificate because he doesn't have experience. I can put him in my company. Therefore, you are addressing two things whilst you're helping those people out there, but you also getting an opportunity on professionalizing and getting a skill at a discounted rate for your company. Because I said, you don't have to be big to be the best. And if you understand that, it doesn't matter if you are a grade 4 company in construction. When they give you an opportunity, they must feel like, wow. You know, you look at whatever the way they built these houses, how neat they are. If you are producing bricks, they must come and look at the balance of the mix in terms of whatever materials that went there and all of that. And everybody wants to be associated with you. And that's the only way we'll be able to grow the economy. When we give our all towards development, abantu bakula ngokwazi nokuphuhliswa. That means you have to have information, and then out of information you can therefore be knowledgeable. When you are knowledgeable, you are better placed ukuthi even if you're not an accountant, you're going to them to help you with the business plan. You can show them your vision. Without what we are seeing, Dr. Sol. So many business plans that are fancy, we approve monies, but businesses are failing every day. It tells you that people are sitting in their corners. They're crafting things because they know this is the fashionable thing that will get funding for. But the actual people that must run the business are clueless about the ecosystem of the business. That's why we said not only ourselves as CEDA, but we're going to partner also with other companies and other stakeholders that are in the business development support, so that we can complement each other and be able to build small businesses that can really grow this economy. As I say that, ladies and gentlemen of DR, I'm aware that we did delay those that submitted their applications for the equipment. I know that later we'll be handing over to some teams, and those that have not applied, it means you go to the LED office and submit your application there, and they process it. They send it to us to process after they have verified that indeed you are from here. Those that have complaints in relation to see further turnaround times, please bear with us for now. We have agreed that at least for now we will be comfortable with 30 days as a turnaround time for CIFA. But in that 30 days, Mayor, we don't mean that if someone already has a contract must wait for 30 days. Because no person will wait for you. If people contract you now to say, we are appointing you to come and supply us with this, you think they have 30 days to wait? They don't have. So we are saying for those that have contracts, as long as they engage those that contracted them, whether it's the municipality, provincial government or private sector, they must agree on session that they cede a payment to us so that we can take our share if we have borrowed you money. Therefore, you are not able to be excluded whilst you have an opportunity, because it's so sad that people get to be given opportunities, but they can't deliver because they don't have money. This is what we're talking to, that we behave as if we are in South Africa, but we grew out of South Africa. We don't understand South Africa. And if we understand South Africa, we will know that our people are willing to wake up and do things. They are trying by all means to be entrepreneurs, but they need us to support them with the finances, because they do not have the ready-made cash. And we don't want them to go now and conduct heists, right? We want them to be real business people, and we must therefore give them money. Now the issue of the alignment within the agencies in the province and the municipality becomes critical, because we may not be able to give you all the support, but if we have a clear understanding in relation to the plans and the strategy of the province and the municipality, we're able to say this is the role we can play to contribute, so that these small businesses you have targeted in this infrastructure spend, they can be able to be given an opportunity and be successful. It's so painful that go to a small business, they don't deliver. This is what big businesses say. Minister, we want to subcontract your small businesses, but they offer shoddy work, they don't finish jobs. This is what they say. The first time one gets money, a payment, they rush to buy the fancy cars, or the R is too small for them. They move to Kimberley or move to Gauteng. They are better now, without investing in the business first. There's nothing wrong with doing whatever, but invest in the business first, because a tender is a tender. There's no guarantee that next time, if you got it through knowing Stella will be there. He reality. That's why we are emphasizing on entrepreneurship, not on tenderpreneurship, but we are appreciative that that is the market, and for our people to get access to that capital, they have to be given space there. So please work with us, small businesses, by ensuring that as we say we want to give you support, we're not going to know which support you need, right? You are the one that knows the capability of your company. Reach out to the LED office, reach out to CEDA, and therefore when you are done with those, you go to CIFA. If you are already done with the business development support, go straight to CIFA for them to fund you. They will fund you. If they decline, I agree they will decline if you have not submitted everything. When they decline, you must ask them to tell you why. Because if they don't tell you, you are not going to know what is it that you need to change. In detail, we are a department that must dish out money, not to keep it and reject people. So our job does not end by saying you did not meet the requirements. We must help you meet the requirements so that you help us create jobs, you help us grow the economy. So we are stuck like this, us and yourselves, which is why it's important that we speak the same language, the business language that we ought to speak, as we are engaging other people and everything that I spoke about earlier. Minister Godongwana announced a sum of 15 billion rands when he delivered his budget speech, which is gonna go to, as part of the credit guarantee loan. I know people are not happy because when we announced 200 billion last year, very few businesses, especially small, benefited from that because of compliance. Even on UIF, as Minister Nxesi was saying, no, as a company you can come, you don't have to retrench, we have this and that. Most of our businesses were not able to access those. This is why we are saying we have learned from what has happened. Therefore, let us work with you to help you manage the papers. I know that thing's about papers. It's very difficult to manage the papers towards compliance. So we want to help you on the compliance side so that as we make these interventions, you can benefit. The first thing is to make sure that we pay the small businesses with the unemployed graduates in the areas that they are operating in. In this project, we are working with the Department of Higher Education, Science and Innovation to say, please give us a database of unemployed graduates, artisans, and everybody in the different areas. As I spoke about the platform that we are developing for small businesses, a database that must be able to say, if I'm looking for a logistics company in this area in DR, who is there? That database that must talk to sectors and locality, which where people are. And when that happens, therefore, the graduates will know, which in this area, we have 10 graduates in this sector, or we have 5, and we pay them, what's the number, CO? The one we pay the unemployed graduates with 2, 1 is 2? 1 is 1. Oh, 1 is to 1. We have to increase that, you? 1? Okay, 1 to 76, we're looking at that. That's meant to ensure that whilst we're helping the unemployed graduates get an incentive, but they're also helping you be able to comply, because all these things that we want, you need somebody that must take you through, and that's a program that will run with CEDA. Ladies and gentlemen, President Ramaphosa said, I must thank you once more for expressing confidence in the governing party. He said, I must also tell you that we are aware that we have not entirely met your expectations, which is why we thank you for giving us another opportunity to make things right. And he said, I must tell you that we can't do this by ourselves. We need you to work with us so that our economy can grow. And we commit that government has to do, we will do. We will look for funding even on private investors. We will make sure that regulations and everything are reduced, and we will make sure that we give access to the small businesses. The ANC government loves you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kutwa ungumafaku. Siyasi. Ontahl, ondayen. Nanso, dibambi. Yeah, dibambi. Siyabulela. Now, without wasting any time, I will give the executive mayor for the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Baie dankie, Speaker Masinto and everyone. Voor ons klaar maak, colleagues, ek dink ek moet dit noem dat die Eldrina Riet, die transport issue in Vosburg en in Bridgetown as 'n seerpunt, en ons moet dit so gou as moontlik aandag gee, maar kan ook vir jou geruststel dat die departement van onderwys en onsself is baie hou met die situation daar so, want dit is 'n baie belangrike ding vir ons kinders vir die skooltransport. En ek moet ook dit net noem aan Fundiswa Koia. Ja, Koiwa. Ek ken haar as Bantu, maar so right. that we take up that challenge, that we strengthen the relationship with our locals and information in particular, as the mayor of Mtanjeni is also committed with regard to information sharing and taking us forward. But let us start, colleagues. Can us first start by giving the Premier of the Northern Cape a round of applause. And to thank him also for accompanying the Minister, both in Namakwa and I'm sure in here in Pixley as well, that he's been there. And we thank you. Ons kan hom ook nie te veel dank nie, want hy is van hier en ons ken hom en hy doen sy werk van die, so ons sê weer vir hom dankie. But also to the Minister, you must remember also that the Minister had geland in Uppington, travel from Uppington to Namakwa, from Namakwa to Pixley, Karreeberg en Mtanjeni. Daai is 'n helse travel. Om hier te wees, om met julle te kan gesels en vir julle te kan help daar waar hulle departement kan. So kan ons vir haar asseblief 'n warme hande klap gee. En dan wil ek ook dan die bedankings uitstuur na, of course, the hosting mayor, Councillor Nkumbi, and also to the Speaker of the District, Councillor Sintu, for the program. And of course the CEO here also for assisting, although die Engels was 'n bietjie baie, maar hy het hom geprobeer, because hy het vir my gesê, hy het met 2 woorde hier weggegaan van Engels, van Afrikaans. But of course, more nicely for me is to also to give a round of applause to Lusanda. Lusanda is the new National Chair of the National Youth Development Agency, waar die Premier praat van Nasionale Jeugagentskap, 'n jong dame, Luaka. So ons is eintlik baie gebless. Kan ons vir haar asseblief ook 'n hande klap gee? En sy het ook vir my geskinder dat sy 'n bietjie Afrikaans geleer. En haar woorde is wat? Gemeenskap, né? Gemeenskap, ja. So ons het 'n bietjie Afrikaans geleer, maar die ander teaching gaan maar verder gaan. Ek sê weer eens, colleagues, vir julle ook self, die small business colleagues en community wat die vandag is, van julle is waarvoor die program hier so is. Ek vra dan ook vir julle asseblief, die departement is hier om die pad saam met julle te stap, om julle se vermoë en drome te realiseer. So ek vra dat julle vir julleself ook 'n baie hande klap gee. And then to all of them that has brought us here, from Tebugo to all colleagues that have assisted, Christian, Daryl Christians van sy purpose wat hy gegee het, al die colleagues. Ek ken hulle nou al, so ons werk nou maar saam. So almal vir julle, die ward councillors and councillors of Mtanjeni, from Chief Whip to all the councillors sitting here in front, from all other parties as well, for gracing this occasion. We also say to you, thank you very much and baie dankie, né?
Thank you very much, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great day, very informative session. Just 2 announcements so that we can continue with the business of the day. The first one is that the SMMEs that the Mayor spoke about, that the Premier spoke about rather, can they meet the team from the Premier at the back by Cedar's tables, so that then they can engage further. That's the first announcement. So can the team raise their hand so that when they get to the back they can see you? The team from the Premier, yes. So they will go to the back and then you can meet with them there. Those SMMEs they know. And then lastly, the lunch will be served here. Okay, just stay put. They will come and serve you while you are seated so that you are able to eat after a long day. That is all from myself. The Mayor did close, so I won't comment any further. Thank you very much.